Welcome to the Mentally Stable-ish podcast. My name is Bradley Boy. And it's good that I fucked that up. So let's just go ahead and start that over again.
Hey.
Welcome to the Mentally Stable-ish podcast. My name is Bradley Ball. I am joined by
Josh Ludeman.
Fuck. So are we going to do the same order or are we changing it up?
No, I figured we were, but then on my side, Dan, you had a delay. So I was like, Dan's waiting for me. I'm going to go. Never mind. Dan, you're second. There we go. Go ahead, Brad. And go.
Oh, I think we're keeping all of that. Go ahead. Somebody introduce themselves.
Oh, shit.
Daniel Taylor.
Josh Ludeman.
Neeraj, ready?
All right. So this episode is called Exercise. Now, I think we should actually start off with a little bit of an update because we originally recorded this back in July as we were getting the podcast going. And we said we were going to do some check-ins. Here we are. We're doing the introduction. It's September. We
were checking in every moment.
Yeah. So one of the things I realized as we were editing this, and we all had this conversation yesterday, boy, did we fail. We had said we were going to every day post by 8 p.m. what we had been doing. And Josh, you and I made it yesterday, but I don't think we've done that for weeks.
No.
I have been running. I have been lifting weights. I've been a little more steady on that. I didn't get to exercise this morning, but it's just because we had 2 dentist appointments back to back and then a whole bunch of meetings up until right now. But I am working out, I would say 4 to 5 times a week. And sometimes I'm actually working out 7 to 8 times a week, which is making me very happy with the results I'm getting.
Well, and I commend you for that because while you've been lifting weights and running, I've been running after ice cream trucks and lifting beers. So I commend you.
Look, if those ice cream trucks are fast, you're probably doing a good job.
They're not that fast. It's like an old 92 Chevy Astro van. It's a little creepy, but yeah.
I'm not sure those are ice cream trucks, Josh. You should probably stop chasing
after them. That's what he keeps telling me, but I get really tired after every time I get an ice cream sandwich. I don't know. I don't get it.
The good news is you're doing the good work out there, keeping children away from that van.
Then I wake up down the street.
Dan, how about you? Have you made it back out on the bicycle?
No, I've miserably failed. I walk about 2 times a week, but that's not near enough what I need to be doing. Hoping to pick it up here in the near future. So,
Neeraj, you were very inspiring in this. We talk about some of the workouts that you've done. How have you maintained since we recorded this? Have you been working out?
I've been doing that same thing. Continue 3 times a day, the Pilates, and definitely try to walk 10,000 steps at least. I walk definitely every day, but 10,000 steps I try to do 2 to 3 times a week at least, touching that level.
So the good news is we still realize that we have work to do. We acknowledge that in there. We're working a little bit towards our goals, but this renewed commitment that we had during the editing process is going to help drive us forward a little bit more. I'm excited to see where we'll be. We should do an exercise check-in maybe when we hit January, see where everybody's doing. We can call it a exercise part 2 or a redo. Josh, how are you feeling about everything?
Well, one thing I want to say, you were talking about we need to hold ourselves accountable, and we are. And let's be honest here and get an attaboy to you. You're keeping us honest. The rest of us were just hiding and flying under the wire. Or at least maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I completely was hiding, and you're keeping us honest. So I appreciate that. And because of that, I'm feeling a little bit more mentally stable. Ish.
Ben and Jerry's is buy one get one free right now at Publix. So just keep that in mind.
Shit! Damn you!
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all.
So let's talk about exercise.
Well, it's not.
Now that we got the joke out of the way, let's get to the serious content. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that is the serious content.
Yeah.
When we were talking about vulnerability, Dan and I both mentioned how we needed to exercise. Since that episode, I went and I bought some new running shoes. I needed some new running shoes. My other shoes, I had walked in them so much, they didn't have enough tread. I got one of those vests that has the water tank in the back, so that way I could hydrate myself. Hopped on the Nike Run Club app. I don't know if you guys know the Nike Run Club app. They have guided runs on there. And the head global trainer is a guy named Coach Bennett. If I have to describe Coach Bennett, I would describe him as probably a real life version of Ted Lasso. And the runs that they do, you can do a non-guided run where it's just a timer run, or you can do a guided run in which he comes in and he talks to you and he talks about philosophy and he talks about where he wants you to be and how he wants you to run. Absolutely love it. It's good stuff. I've done this before, but I've fallen off the bandwagon hard. I had a point in time where I was running a lot. I was doing a lot of races. I haven't done a race in over a year. I haven't had a week where I ran more than twice in over a year. As a matter of fact, I haven't had a month where I ran more than 15 kilometers in almost 2 years. I had a year in 2022. Hold on. I'm going to open up the app. I want to give you guys the exact numbers on here.
All right. To show this up, Brad is picking up his phone. He's opening the app. He's looking at this. He's opening the app. Oh, there he goes.
2022 was my best year ever. So I'm going to give you the breakdown. Okay. 2019, I started. I did a total of 46 runs. I ran a total of 227.2 kilometers. 2020, I ran 46 runs. I did a total of 290.6 kilometers. 2021, I did 45 runs. I ran 167.6 kilometers. 2022, I ran 102 runs and I ran 755.1 kilometers. 2023, and this is the year I got injured, 24 runs, 149 kilometers. So far in 2024, God, the bar's so little I can't even click on it. 1 in June, 1 in March, 6 in July. I'm slowly making progress. And God damn, do I pick the worst times to do this. It's Florida. It's July. It is fucking hot as hell. I have to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning to make sure I'm out of the door by 6:30 in the morning so that it's not just sweltering and unbelievably hot. This is where I kick myself in the ass. I could have been doing this during November, December, January, February, when we actually had some nice cool days. Nope. I'm doing this in the heat of the summer. The tough thing for me is now that I've started exercising, I want to keep going, but I'm trying not to push myself too hard. I'm 47 and it is not as easy to come back from injury. January 2023, I got a hip issue. I had periods of time where I couldn't run. I slowly made it back to running again. And then I had injuries again and I couldn't run. Before I knew it, a year had passed and I had hardly done any running whatsoever. I'm diabetic. It helps me. It helps my weight, helps my cardio fitness. There's so many good components of it. There's no reason for me not to do it. If I fall off the bandwagon, it's so hard because there's guilt and there's shame where I go, remember, I was out there doing 15K runs and 12K runs and doing half marathons. And now I can't fucking run for 5 minutes without getting winded. Now, Dan, you had also mentioned that you wanted to start working out.
Yeah. It was eye-opening. I hadn't got on the scale intentionally for a while because I was just afraid of what I was going to see. Within the last 6 months since my last doctor appointment, I put on 25 pounds. Let that sink in, folks. 25 pounds. I was averaging 120 miles plus a week on my bike. And then I just stopped. I took one day off and I was like, okay. And I took another day off. And then it just became this snowball effect. And here we are today. So during the vulnerability session, we were like, we need to get to exercise. So what have I been doing since then, right? Well, first off, I've been eating better. Like I've been put the chocolate down, right? I've been putting the chocolate down quite a bit because I love snacks. I'm a junkaholic.
I've been picking it up for you. Don't worry.
Thank you. They used to call me when I worked at Nielsen Media Research, Snack Attack, because I would have a little lunchbox and it wouldn't be sandwiches in it. It would be like snacks. So people used to like that. But back then I was a lot healthier, had a bit higher metabolism. Things were good. Now I'm older. The metabolism's slow. Type 2 diabetes. I've been eating healthier. I've been getting on. I have this real generic Gold's Gym stepper that I've been stepping on 15 minutes a day. I cannot tell you how hard that is right now. I've been doing it outside a little bit in between meetings. So getting those twice a days in with the showers and stuff, because Missy says I stink, which is good because that means I'm getting my exercise in. Ever since the end of last year going into this year, I don't know what it was. Let me rephrase that. I know what it was. It's stress. It's letting the stress get to me and not taking care of myself first. And that's what we're doing, right? Brad and I have been chatting behind the scenes. He wakes me up in the morning. He knows I'm not an early person, so he texts me anyhow. And he's like, "Hey, you out there doing your running?" I'm like, "No, I'm still sleeping, mofo." And he's like, "Get up and do your run, mofo." And so I get up and I do. I don't run. I can't run, but I walk, and I actually pumped up the air in my tires on my bike. So I'm going to get back on that to get the exercise. So it's just, I don't feel good about myself. And that impacts me in many other ways. When I exercise, that adrenaline, one, it makes me look a little bit better. My shirts fit, but I also find that I treat people a lot better and I'm less moody, to be very honest.
Mental health is huge. And there's been a lot of studies that have shown that getting out, exercising really helps with mental health. I know myself, and Josh, you know it. I'm just God, the easiest way to say it is I am a flat out grizzly bear of an asshole if I haven't gone and ran or walked for a week. And it's not that I'm looking for the fight, but any little thing and I'm like, "Rah!"
The fight just finds you. That fight
Yeah.
just finds you.
Okay, that's what Dan and I have been working on. So Niraj, what do you do for exercise?
So I wasn't like that. I mean, if I say when the kids were born, instead of my wife gaining weight, I was the one who gained a lot of weight. I mean, usually it's girls getting the weight. I gained up a lot of weight. I was
Good,
like,
good sympathy pregnancy.
Yeah, I would like crazy eater. I mean, I'm same as Dan. I'm a junk eater according to my wife. I would have chips and pizzas anytime if I have to have it, and I would not eat any healthy foods. I mean, that's how I've been all my life. But I think probably what triggered me up was my annual, probably in 2019, where they came up saying, okay, your like 90 days glucose level or sugar level is almost on the border. And that triggered me up because my parents are diabetic. So I was like, it's going to inherit to me. And I don't want to be in that stage where at a young age you get into diabetes, blood pressure, on the issues. And that's where I started walking, made up a rule. I mean, I looked online, the American walk distance or whatever that association is. They said you need to walk at least 10,000 steps. Now it's got 15,000. That's what they say. You need to walk 10,000 steps a day. And that's where I like, okay, put an app on the phone, regularly walk 10,000 steps a day. I mean, not like roaming around like walk. You really walk fast and you get that 10,000 steps. Lately, I mean, my wife used to do 3 days Pilates with one of the instructor every day online, 3 times a week. And she's like, I was like watching her, and I have a bad sciatica pain, and that would trigger me out anytime. And the last time when I went to a physical therapist, she's like, you need to exercise. That's the only way you can get rid of it. That's once you get into it, you'll get more and more pain. And I was like, yeah, I need to get to. And my wife was like, why don't you join my Pilates classes along with the instructor? She's teaching me up. She'll do extra class. And I'm like, okay, let me just try doing it up. I like the instructor. She's really great. I mean, she has, from the whole year that I've been now with her, not a single pain. I mean, that's a little bit pain, but I would not say like a crazy pain I used to. I would drag my leg and I could not walk properly also. Now it's gone. So that's where I've been able to get back to my normal exercising and all of that. I cannot run. I mean, that's definitely I'm trying to do. If I have to run, I would never run. I used to do 2019 onwards. I've been probably except the COVID days. I used to do 10K runs in New York City. I mean, I want to do a marathon one day. I know, Brad, you have done marathon with a couple of people, and I want to do that marathon one day. That's the aim.
Oh no, I've only done half marathons. I'll be honest with you. As much as I would like to say I've done a marathon, I look at that distance and I'm like, that is crazy. That is 42 kilometers. That's 20 something miles. Like when I do a half marathon, I'm going a little over 10 miles for that. And by the end of the half marathon, I'm done. I feel destroyed.
Yeah, I want to try that out one day. I mean, definitely half and then full, but yeah, that's what my aim want to be.
I will throw this invite out to you. Mm-hmm. If you buy online, Disney Run has a thing they do every year in the fall where they sell a membership. If you buy a membership there, it guarantees your capability to go in and get a race. If you go and sign up for the race, you almost have to have those nowadays because those races sell out the first hour that they open up. I will do the 5K, the 10K. I'll do the half marathon. I will do any of those. If you ever go, hey, I'd like to come down to Florida and I'd like to do one of those races, let me know, man. I will sign up for that.
Sure.
And we'll be run buddies for that. I love those. The 5K you can walk. Josh, we've walked the 5K before. Me, my wife, me and you and your wife. That was a wonderful time.
Oh yeah, it was a great
It's a
time.
fun thing. It's a fun thing. Yeah.
It's a good time though, and I'm definitely not a runner. I've, those who know me know about the legendary spring of 2016, where within a matter of a month and a half, tore my ACL and then shattered my kneecap. The knee doctor said to me, "Sorry to say, but your jogging career is over." And I was like, "Oh, whew," before it got started. Good. I like riding my bicycle. There's some good areas around here to do it. To Brad's point, the oppressive heat. No one likes to be the guy that people are driving by going, "Oh my God, he is so soaking wet." And that's exactly what I am out there. I do have a Peloton, but at the exact same time, I don't want an instructor screaming at me. I thought some of them were good. It's too much, I guess, for me. And what I do, a bike ride through Hawaii, through Vienna, or whatever, where you can just do like a nature ride, and I'll put in earphones and I'll just go riding. The seat on that, it does not work for me. So I've recently got a new one and put it on. Ultimately, for me to stay on it, it has to be enjoyable, or I will find 7,000 excuses to do everything I shouldn't, including housing a bag of chips, like Dan said.
So let me ask you something. Is the new bike seat, is that comfortable for you?
Yes.
Does it work? Have you tried?
Yes, because it's wider, but it's also padded.
Not only that, I don't know if you're aware of this. I only found this out when Gareth and I would sign up for the Ron John triathlons. Mm-hmm. There are actually shorts that you can get that have padding built into it for bicycling, that help out quite a bit with the seat. And it's not something I do all the time when I bike. I bought a more comfortable seat for my bike that I've got out in the garage. The kids are using it more than I am right now, though. I'm going to work that in eventually, because what I like to do is I find if I ride the bike, it helps make my legs stronger to be able to have a little more stamina when I run.
Oh, yeah. And that was like one of the first things they had me do as part of my physical therapy with my knee, like 15, 20 minutes on the bike. And I was like, okay.
I know. I mean, do you guys play any games instead of just biking or running or walking? I mean, I try to do tennis. I mean, I did 2 years of tennis playing in summers. This year, a little bit pickleball. I mean, but I'm nothing more than that.
The sports for me is the same reason I can't run anymore, because of my kneecap. The quick stops in tennis, the stopping at a base if I were to get into one of the adult softball or even kickball leagues, those quick stops, I could be back on an operating table where they have to reconnect my kneecap again.
Yeah, so. Josh is going to be a coach for the rest of his time.
Yes. The team motto is try not to suck.
Yeah, there we go. I love that motto. Joe Madden took the Cubs to the World Series with that motto. Niraj, I want to revisit your Pilates here in a minute, because I've always been curious about that. And the fact that it helped you in your sciatica, I think is really cool. Is that something that you still do? Have you kept up with that?
Yes, I do at least three days a week. I try to do that. 1 hour each. I mean, I bought all the equipments like dumbbells and medicine balls and floaties and all the stuff that requires for it. And then she picks up a class. I mean, today morning we did only ring exercises, right? But I mean, it's even if picking a 3-pound dumbbell and keeping it for like 5 minutes would move your arm completely. I mean, for me, my arm is broken, so I had a bad accident, and my shoulder would crack up if I just have to hold something up. But she has lately been able to hold me up for 5 minutes, and it's completely fine with me. And it's online, so I don't really, and that's the reason. I mean, if I have to go to a place and do it, I'll make excuses not to go. I mean, I joined a couple of gym places. I joined a couple of places where group lessons and all that stuff. And every day my wife is like, yeah, you're going to make my kids also make fun of me, saying, yeah, he's going to go for the first 2 days or probably first 2 weeks. And then he's going to come up with a great, excellent excuse that, oh, I have a meeting today and then you're not going to go. And that's how I am. Like, I just cannot go to a place. I mean,
I love it that you do this with your wife. I think that's really cool. Sue did a thing for a long time called Orange Theory, which you go to Orange Theory, they put a band on you, and then they've got all these monitors. And so you can see, and you get to do things scaled basically based off your age, and they're trying to keep your heart rate within a certain rhythm. And so they'll tell you, hey, take it easy, cool down. I offered to do that with her. She had a period of time she went, and then she quit going. And I had told her, I said, hey, if you're interested in doing this, I was originally running a lot and I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I don't want that to mess with my flow. But I've really grown on the idea of, I really wish I had gone and done that with her. I think it's neat to be able to do that together. And I asked her if she wanted to, and she's like, she had quit doing it. And she goes, no, I don't want to go back and spend the money on that. But I told her if she ever changes her mind, I'm down to do that with her.
One thing that I feel is it's like a competition, right? I mean, if you're doing together, I mean, not your wife, but even if you're doing with somebody together, you're motivated to do it up. When you're doing it alone, you're like, okay, what's the worst thing is going to happen if I don't go for a walk today? I mean, you'll just feel, I'll do it tomorrow. I mean, that's where you just start going lagging off from your routine. But if you're doing with somebody, and if you have an app or a challenge thing going on, you're definitely going to go and bust it out. And that's how I do it up. I mean, I can send you the number. I mean, she's doing it from India on a Zoom call, but she does amazing job. I mean, that's how we've been doing it up.
I love that.
And see, this is why I love going for a walk and put in my ear pods or going on a bike ride, is because for me, exercise also needs to be a solitary experience for me, because a lot of times that's when I'm winding down my brain. My brain is a crazy thing. It's a constant set of squirrels running from side to side, occasionally peeking out, going, hey, you still there? Hey, you still there? When I am on a bike or when I'm walking, looking at things and doing some sort of exercise, my mind actually becomes a single set focus. For some reason, that centers me. So not only is it good for me to get out there and lose the weight and get healthy again. Heck, I was 110 pounds when I graduated high school. I'm twice the size I was when I graduated high school. I have two of me now. So I cloned myself essentially. Missy does the Pilates and she's like, oh, you should do this with me. I just can't. The focus isn't there. And I'm like, be quiet. I don't want to be told what to do. And maybe that's a control thing. I don't.
I do want to revisit sports for a second because I would love to play sports. My problem is I don't know a good way to find an adult league. And because you all know me so well, I am very acquainted with coming up to you guys and just talking with you. It's weird to say this, but I feel a little shy and going and trying to find a new group and go, I want to be a part of a group and I want to go do this. I would love it. I would love to play kickball. I would love to play soccer. I used to play soccer a ton. I played soccer from when I was 5 in kindergarten all the way through high school. And I did intramurals in college. Absolutely love that game. And sometimes Josh and I get together with some friends and we go golfing and I love that experience, but I love doing things with people. We had a house we lived in where we had a tennis court and we would take the kids out there and we would play tennis. There's no tennis court in this neighborhood. There are basketball courts, but I have a hard time finding them. I had an apartment once with a really great basketball court that was pretty close by. And I would just go, I suck. There's a reason I didn't even play in high school.
Hey, I played in high school.
But I would go out there. I would shoot layups. I would do baskets. I would go from one end of the court to the other. And I would use that as part of my cardio exercise. So I love going out there and being active and doing things. I just don't have a league or an association that I'm a part of that I even know how to be able to do an adult sport.
I did. So you can suck at tennis and play in high school. I was actually ranked last on the team, and my proudest moment was I actually advanced my rank from last place before the end of the season. That was my victory for the season. I was like, I am not last place. I improved.
So I played soccer, but I also wrestled and I did football. And I hated wrestling when I first started wrestling because your first year in wrestling, you get your ass kicked no matter what. As a matter of fact, every year when you're a first year wrestler, they call you a fish because all you know how to do is flop on your back, flop up and down. That's all you know how to do. The first year I got my ass kicked left and right. And I was like, I am not doing this again. I wanted to check this bucket and go, I've done it. Well, I've done it. I don't need to do it. And then the next year I came in and I was playing football and I was never a gifted football player, but I realized because of wrestling, if I got a hand on somebody, I knew how to hold on to them, but I also knew how to use their body weight against them. And I was a very, very effective tackler. When football season came around and I realized I was a lot better because of wrestling, I went, fuck, I got to wrestle again this year. And then the second year of wrestling, though, I still got my ass kicked some, but I also won some. It was a lot more enjoyable. Junior year, I won a lot more than I lost. Senior year was really, really great. I got injured in the last match I had before the state tournament started. This is the greatest athletic claim to fame I will ever have. The guy who won state, I beat in the match that I got injured. I was doing pretty good. I wanted to go to college and do it, but they shut down the wrestling program at the college I got accepted to. And ironically, that coach who was a silver medalist in the Olympics went to my high school and started coaching the wrestling team over there.
When I was in school, I was heavily into band. The band program at our high school was a marching and both street and field competitive. I was a drummer. So if anyone says that it's not physically demanding to do that, I guarantee, to be in band, please show up sometime, carry the lowest bass drum, so the biggest, and do a field show of 5 songs with that, with spins, choreography, motion, all that in a wool costume that weighs probably about 20 pounds with the drum on a harness on top of you. And yeah, then tell me it's not.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly athletic. Zachary did that. So my kids, Zach, Will, Serenity, she's about to start high school band camp next week. And that's the thing is Zachary was in percussion, had one of the big bass drums. He also learned what's the tenor with the 4 different drums.
Yep. Quad tenors. Yeah.
Yeah. And he did that in competition. He was amazing, but watching them, wool outfits, that big, massive drum. I mean, Zach's 6'5". He's tall, but he's lanky. He's only like 198 pounds. So he's thin, but he's got a lot of muscle. He's strong. That's a workout. I mean, and doing that in the Florida heat on top of that. Oh my goodness. I have so much respect for that.
Yeah. And I did it in New York, not in Florida. So yeah, it was very different, but still,
still hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wool costume in the spring, doing it on a street with the asphalt baking back up at you while the sun's baking down in the wool. Oh yeah. Fun times.
Oh yeah. Mad respect for a marching band.
Oh yeah. And then especially percussionists, like, I used to get picked on and called Popeye because like my sophomore through senior year, I was snare. And so you're just sitting there like this the whole time. It's all in the wrist. And then your forearms just become huge because you're just sitting there like this for like 10 minutes because, of course, the drumline instructor is just having you do exercises the whole time. But yeah, that was my fun. And it would be awfully awkward to kind of turn that into some kind of physical exercise now at 45, walking through the streets banging on a drum. I figure the neighbors would kick me out of the HOA.
I was going to say my forearms were big in high school for completely different reasons.
Woo! I remember in high school having the athletes and the band members that required to be to get that strength in there. And we see what you did there, Balls. We see what you did there with your balls. But
whoa.
Talk
about a late boomerang. Dan's like, a minute into this story, I see what you did there.
Yeah, it's hard to stay in shape, especially when you get older. Like high school, we were so active. Exercise was just part of the routine in many different ways, as we just found out. But as you get older and you go to college and then you get into different things and you get into work and you either get into, you fall into love, right? There's a whole bunch of different things that happen in life that get in the way of exercise. I've always made the excuse for letting these things get in the way of exercise. And that's where I need to be better, right? I need to do better and say, okay, I need to prioritize this.
Do you think it's our job that really makes us lazy or not exercising?
God, that's a good question.
Or the responsibility? I mean.
I don't know if it's the job that does, but thinking about all the other stuff I could do, should do, want to learn. Yeah, absolutely. It keeps me at this desk.
Yes and no. When I got out of college, that's really when I started gaining weight. When I was in college, because they had a free gym as part of your student fees that you could do, I was in the gym all the time. As a matter of fact, that's when I actually got big, was towards the end of my college career. I went into college, and even though I wrestled and I played football and everything, my freshman year, when I started it, I weighed 140 pounds, but I had like 2% body fat. I had some ridiculous expectations though. I remember I used to think if I couldn't bench press double my body weight, I was out of shape. And I thought I was in terrible shape because I weighed 140 pounds and I could only bench 275 pounds. So that'll give you, I mean, I was just pure rip muscle.
Oh, that's
As a matter of fact, I didn't even gain weight during my freshman year. I ate like crazy, but I lost weight. When I went home at the end of the summer, I weighed 125 pounds. And my parents said to me, you know, there's money for food. That next summer, I think that was what really kickstarted my metabolism and my muscle growth. I did this job where I was a stucco concrete constructor and I was the laborer. So I had to mix the concrete, pour the concrete into wear barrels, and then push the wheelbarrows over to the guys that were doing stucco on the house. I would have to scoop it out of there, put it on their trials. They got it. And it was in Florida over the summer. It was the most physically demanding job I've ever had in my life. I would wake up in the morning, I would do that. Then I would leave and I would go to work at the Olive Garden, and I worked there as a waiter up until like 11 o'clock. But I was young. I was like 19, 20. And I had a lot of friends that could drink. So of course, what would we do? We would go out and we would party. Sometimes we'd play street hockey. Sometimes we'd have a party.
That sounds awesome.
I remember one night when one of the guys who used to work at a chop shop rewired my entire car and the sound system in there and the amp, because he was like, oh, the wires, the way this is going, the sound could be better. Literally took out my seat, took out the floorboards. I mean, it was amazing. We're all sitting there playing basketball. He's taking my car apart and rewiring. It was a fantastic time and experience. But I remember when I came back up to college, I think for the first time ever, I actually weighed like 175 pounds. And when I went in the gym there, boy, I was even worse shape because I weighed 175, but I could only bench press 325 pounds. But I would go and I would constantly lift and I would get bigger and bigger. But I always thought of myself as that little guy, as that 125 pound guy. And there was one day where I realized I was big. One of the guys from the Western Carolina football team, one of the linemen, was working out in the gym. He yells across the room at me. He goes, "Hey, big guy, come spot me." Me, big guy? And I'm like, yeah, sure thing. So I come over there and I spot him and I realize he's only doing about 15 more pounds than I do when I'm doing this exercise. And I go, shit, I'm not afraid of looking stupid. Can I hop in? And he goes, yeah, sure thing. So I end up doing his whole workout with him. And he's only like in places he's 10 or 15 pounds more than me, but I'm pretty close to him. And that was the first time I looked in the mirror. When I had graduated, I'm nowhere near in this shape now. My biceps were so big, I couldn't touch the middle of my back. I think I weighed 220 pounds and I was absolutely ripped. And then I got a job where I sat at a desk. I got kids. And I'm taking care of the kids and I'm running around for the kids. And what are you doing when you get kids and you've got a job? You're not going to the gym and working out. Ooh. And there was one day I'm sitting there and I remember I had a little bit of a belly enough that I could put a soda can on my belly and the soda can didn't move. And I laughed at it. I was like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, shit.
Exactly.
From then on, it's been a struggle because my entire life, I remember when I was a kid, I used to think, because it was so hard for me to put on weight, I used to think, I wish I was fat because I could always lose the weight and put on muscle. And now that I'm fat, I'm like, I was an asshole when I was young. Fuck that guy.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. What a jerk.
Okay, so obviously my goal is to continue to keep running. What's everybody's goal? And are you okay if we help motivate and push each other?
My goal is just to become more regular.
Is there a way we can help with that? Do you want us to reach out to you? Do you want us to motivate you? What do you want us to do? How do we help?
Same text that goes to Dan, we can send it out to you.
Yeah.
Wake up. But you're always up.
Best time to do it is early in the morning. No one's messing around with that. It's, Brad, Dan, it's cool in Florida, or cooler, fighting my insomnia and getting to bed at a decent hour so that I'm actually in a physical position to get up at 6 a.m., getting to bed at a regular time and things like that so that I can get up in the morning to then be in a position to do it.
Let me phrase this a different way, right? I can bug you in the morning. I've got your number. I could text you when I text Dan, sure. But I know that doesn't work for you. I want to do something that actually works for you. If you're going to ride your bike or do something in the evening, maybe we set a goal at the end of the day to go, what'd we do today?
Okay. Or then I have to admit to it. Okay. Yeah. Because I don't want to admit to that.
So I'll create a signal group for us, and maybe what it is at 7 or 8 p.m. we put in what we've done for the day. If you haven't done it, just admit it. Just admit that you haven't done it. Nobody's going to persecute you for it, but we'll see if we can motivate you. Can you get something in before the end of the day? And if you can, fantastic. Look, as we get older, there's less time we have on this planet than we did when we started out.
Yeah.
There's no negative to this, right? I'm not going to come over to your house and slap you across the face.
I was going to say, you're like, there's no negative. I'm like, then where's the positive?
Although if that motivates you, let me know. I can do that.
It's a yin and a yang, sir.
Be like, how dare you not exercise?
Put the sugar down.
But we're not cutting out the Mickey head shaped chocolate covered ice cream bars. Just saying.
No, I have very specific goals to go back to your question, Brad. A year and a half ago, my A1C was 7.5. I had it down to 5.6 with the help of meds. I just got blood work again. I'm back at 7.8. I have a 6-month goal of 205 pounds. Also getting out there and doing at least 5 activities a week. But those are specific goals I've set for myself.
So I'm going to quote our late great friend Gareth Swanepoel. Remember, the goal is not that we win. The goal is to say that we've done it. And so if you don't hit all those goals, but you hit like 80, 90% of them, and let's say you're at 207 instead of 205 or 210 instead of 205, that's still a good goal. So don't be too hard on yourself on that. But I think that's good. Niraj?
We give points out, right? I mean, if you are negative, that's where you have to do something. I mean, something that has to motivation is one of that thing. But if you like say you're trying, but you don't do it, that's where you get negative points or something like that. And I think what Brad is saying is, I like that idea. Yeah, that is something that we are going to definitely go after and get up from our chair and start walking or do a biking in Lost case or something like that. Evening thing is fine. I mean, at least to start with is, I mean, morning I'm up, but sometimes in the morning with the kids dropping to schools and all the stuff, it's hard to do. I mean, I try to do it in the morning, most of the things, but sometimes it's hard. Walking is definitely hard in the morning, but in evening, definitely I go out. But yeah, at the end of the day, we give us not a status report, but something like that, saying, okay, I did this much thing, and that would motivate it up. I mean, is there something you can do more, push each other out, and that would help all of us together.
Well, I tell you what, in a couple weeks, let's do an update on this, and we'll start off going, hey, where are we at with our exercise goals? What's going on? Are we still hitting things? All right, sounds like we've got some goals. We're working on being exercise stable-ish, which will hopefully help us be more mentally stable-ish. All right. I love you all the best. You're my favorite. Don't tell mom.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all.